everybody. I'm Dan. That's also Dan. Welcome to our evening classes. We have a couple new faces. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in online now and in the future. Today we have a cool topic called entrepreneur habit building. So obviously we like to slate our calendar with art-based classes and talk a lot about social media branding and working with clients and different things that speak with respect to the art specific industry. But through that journey, Dan and I have picked up some tricks and tips and tools along the way. By no means are we claiming that we're successful entrepreneurs, but we've experienced some mild success and found our way somehow through college and some jobs afterwards, and so we're here and we want to share some things that have helped along that way. So we're going to break our little talk down into three things really. It comes down to the why, the how, and the what. The why, which we'll dive deeper in, is the mission with options. Your how is keep getting after it. We'll talk about what we mean by that, and the simple but not easy, or easy but not simple, however you want to look at it, way on how to achieve your entrepreneurial endeavors, and then the tools for success along the way. So your why. Does anyone know what the difference between the mission and a vision statement? Anyone here? Dan?
Ooh, so a mission statement is essentially, I would say, probably like your why. Your mission is why you're doing what you're doing, why it is that you're going to start your business, why it is that you're going to be an artist, be an entrepreneur, whatever you're starting. That's your mission. It's kind of like the proof is in the pudding, like what gets you out of bed in the morning, what gets you going. Whereas a vision statement is essentially how you accomplish that, or how you aim to accomplish that.
Right. So for instance, Graffiti Park's mission is that we are dedicated to offering unique art opportunities to our community. So that's our mission. So everything we do, whether it's this right here, these courses, or the actual projects, both commission and volunteer, we're dedicated to providing those unique art opportunities for people to upskill both professionally in whatever endeavor that is. Our vision statement, however, is to paint every blank canvas in the world, right? So our mission is what we do every single day. Our vision is what we're aspiring to do, and through multiple routes to get there. So our end goal, obviously, vision is to paint every blank canvas in the world. But in order to get there, you have to have multiple different things. One of the major milestones that we want to create is Graffiti Park itself, a brick and mortar location, much like the Ocho here, but a lot more interactive and living and breathing. And so that's a good example of how we're not there yet, but through these multiple routes and different things that we're exploring, we're able to eventually get there.
Yeah, and I really want to point out that we start with the why, because if you don't have a good purpose, if you don't have a good mission, or if you don't have something getting you out of bed every morning to drive towards something, then you really can't be a successful entrepreneur if you don't know what you want or why you're going to do it.
Yeah. So the how. Keep beating the drum. So, though it sounds pretty simple, the easiest thing that you can do, I guess the simplest thing that you can do to get things going is to start growing support for your idea. Quite frankly, Dan and I thought of Graffiti Park like sitting on a couch one day in college, and what got us here is the fact that while I was out of town working for another company, Dan was literally going to random businesses and telling them about our idea and getting some people to support them. And then eventually some person knew about our idea, knew they needed some artists. Dan was able to be the link between those two, and quite frankly, the rest is history. And so it came from beating the drum, growing support in the community. Focus on what you can control. That's a big thing. Like, you can control the people that you reach out to. You can control the people that you follow up with. You can't control clients saying yes. You can't control making a sale. You can't control those things, but you certainly can control your activities. And if you focus on that and not get bogged down into the no's or the barriers or challenges or whatever it is, that's really what this is, to hate to simplify it so much, but that's really what it boils down to. Do you want to talk about the habits?
I do. But so I'm reading a book currently called The Miracle Morning. And his whole thing was, right, it was like all about waking up early in the morning. Some people are a lot more about that than others. Other people have, your own personal morning routines and what you go through. But what it's talking about in the book is essentially says he's trying to destigmatize that idea of a habit only takes 21 days to build. He says that's complete bullshit. He says from the first, 10 days of that as really breaking your old habits and getting into the new ones, and as like kind of forcing yourself to kind of try something new. Usually between days 10 and 20, that's where you'll usually find most of your success, right? Like most of your growth, most of the exciting parts of it, right? And that's when you really feel like you're on your way to your goal, usually. And then usually at that 21st day, right, people are like, oh, it's a habit already, I'm gonna take 3 days off. I don't have to worry about that, or I can take a weekend, or I can go on a, and he says the reason that you're not technically supposed to do that is because between days 21 and 30 are the days where you start to enjoy what you're doing or the habit that you're building. Then after that, Dan and I Googled it, and Google says it takes anywhere from 18 to 254 days to build a habit. So you can really see, it puts it in perspective. If you're going after it every day, it doesn't mean that you're going to enjoy it. It doesn't mean that it's going to become fun immediately. It doesn't mean any of that. But it does kind of along those same lines of Oprah taking 250 some odd different no's before she was able to get her first show, or Walt Disney, I think, was in like the 300s. You hear about McDonald's, Ray Kroc. I mean, there's hundreds and thousands probably of different examples of people nose to the brimstone, hitting it until one day it just kind of blows up, and then all of the success, right, seems overnight, but in reality it's like one of those icebergs where the majority of the work is below the surface.
Oh, yeah, day 1 of 18 starts today. All right, so that's the how, and then finally the what tools do you have at your disposal? So this is kind of more of the quote-unquote self-helpy portion. And we'll lead off by saying we are not organizational psychologists or philosophers, nor do we get paid to speak anywhere. But thank you for coming here today and listening to what we have to say. So the first block here has to do with like developing a routine. So to Daniel's point, like wake up at, I believe and I'm happy to share the literature in support of, but I believe that waking up at a consistent time, whether that, it doesn't, I'm not saying wake up at 4 a.m., could be 9 a.m., could be noon if you work graveyard, like just waking up at a consistent time every day is really positive for your mental health, as well as it allows you to be able to get into a routine. And that's super important because basically you want to be able to routinize your options that you're working on. If your day-to-day is different every single day, then it's hard to dedicate the time that you need to make your dream work. Some people may work 1, 2, 3 jobs, and you might have 30 minutes, an hour, if that, of actual free time. I guarantee it's probably more than that, but maybe you only have an hour of actual free time a day. In order to maximize that and to be able to relax, work, family time, all your other obligations, and to put time into your dream, you have to have a routine to be able to make all that work. So waking up at a consistent time, and this says find what works best for you. So some people like to work out. Again, if you were talking to me personally, I'm an advocate for some sort of physical health or fitness in your life to help get the endorphins going and to add to your routine. But again, find whatever works for you. Every boat floats differently. All right, so plan out your week and day. That kind of is the same thing. So understanding what you have to do that week or day. If you're a spontaneous type of person or whatever, that being able to organize your thoughts from an entrepreneurial perspective. Most of the time you have a lot of projects going on, and so to be able to make all those work, you have to be able to plan that out. And this says treat your passion with discipline and dedication. So just like you would go to work on time or show up 10 minutes earlier, or you kind of get anxiety to call out or be late to your own work, like treat your work that way as well. Like Like I said, if you have an hour or 2 hours a day, don't be like, okay, well, I'll do the 2 hours tomorrow or when I have some more free time. You wouldn't do that if it was your job paying you or some other obligation, right? So the more that you can integrate that into your routine and take that kind of philosophy side of things, the more that you'll be successful.
If I could throw one in here, I really do believe how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if your room is messy, if your car is messy, if you're not making your bed before the, if you're not writing down all of your plans and what you have to accomplish in the course of a week, like how you do one thing is going to kind of bleed into almost everything. And so again, find what works for you and plan out your week accordingly.
Yep. And so one of the so this is kind of the philosophy, more of like the mechanics of how you can do that. One of the best things that I recommend is like find buckets for your life. So for me, I have another job that I have to dedicate time to. So that's one bucket. I have Graffiti Park's one bucket. I have my personal life, right? Or whatever other additional endeavors. And so those are the kind of what I call buckets. Those are my different things. And then from there, I have you got to find whatever task management or kind of to-do list system works best for you. Some people have a journal, sticky notes, calendar, maybe it's a Google Calendar, whatever again works best for you. I will tell you though, it's probably not the best thing to just try to memorize your whole life and not have any sort of organizational tool. Maybe just start with writing in a journal or something cheap like that. If you need one of those, please reach out. We're happy to get you one. To get you started on that. So big thing just like the routine and the mental side of things, the actual doing things is, again, you find something that works for you. There's lots of free apps. The iPhone even has like the reminders, the to-do list. You can create different lists for those different buckets. Again, if you actually want to take that next step and maximize and grow your clientele and create either a second form of income or do what you want to do in your life, then those are some of the things you have to take. And then lastly, like the business housekeeping sort of things, like starting your own business, the accounting side of things, like if you want to legitimize your operations and as a part of the entrepreneurial journey, we're going to be providing some additional resources and classes to that effect. But on top of that, we'd recommend you leverage your resources. There's a bunch of free resources online from the city and the state of Nevada and any other state on how to set up your own business, be an independent contractor. There's plenty of articles and such, so any information that you need is really out there. These are some of the things that we've done to kind of try to aggregate that information and get things done. So, anything else to add?
Excels, spreadsheets, if you have important dates to remember, or Google Calendars, Google Drive, we use a lot. For one of these, task management systems, our personal favorite and what we use within our company is Google Drive and ClickUp. ClickUp is completely free. Their proprietary business statement is that they'll save you a day a week in organizational time. I really, really recommend those. That's how we've been able to do what we do and maintain the capacity that we're at.
Yeah. So with that, we're happy to answer any questions. And thank you for hanging out.